We played the Fillmore. We were like, playing opposite the Jefferson Airplane and the James Cotton Blues Band and
And what did the kids
Paul
think when they saw
Butterfield.
you?
They threw stuff. I got hit. I had a nice apple diced on my bridge. They were waiting for B.B. King, who was late. That was with the Fourth Way.
Okay.
With Charles Lloyd, we'd follow. I followed Jack Casady with this with stuff that he had, the precursor to the Olympic stuff, and he had this tweeters and overturned woofers and mid range. Sound that he has. I came out with a towel wrapped around a Shure mic under my bridge, playing opposite that. It was shocking.
But now, then did you start doing studio work on electric? Then I guess the Pointer Sisters came along.
The Pointer Sisters, yeah,
You
that
came
was.
back to New York. Then.
I came back to New York after
Okay.
2 years in San Francisco. What did I come back for? I came back to play with Joe Henderson, I think,
Right, you did those right.
and played the East Village Inn. And we were supposed to go to Europe and everything, and Joe said he lost my number. And so that didn't happen. So I got stranded here. Then I got a call to play with Dionne Warwick. I did a little work with her. I went to school with her. I went to college with her and Houston Person. We were in the same class. And Houston Person used to say, "Ronnie, you ain't white, you pink." And she was sat next to me in Mr. Robinson's second year harmony class, and she wanted me to work with her, and I had turned her down because I was playing with Charles Lloyd or something, but Ralph Ross, who was the bass player, he got in a terrible accident. He almost died. So I subbed for him for a while, and then I went back to California because I had a daughter out there by that time.
Okay.
I went out to visit and stayed for 2 more years, and then I got called to join Blood, Sweat and Tears.
How did you get that call? Because Jim Fiedler, you had, I guess, replaced him, the original.
I was the second guy in the band, bass player.
Right, after Jim and No Sweat, I think he left. And
Yeah, I don't remember what that was, but Jules Colombi, Bobby's brother, the drummer, he was like the head of the band. He was the kingpin.
he owned the name.
Yeah.
I believe, yeah.
And Jules got me with Thelonious Monk while I was teaching at Berkeley, because I was teaching up there and they needed a bass player. So he called me up and I played a month with Monk. That was interesting.
Oh, that, yeah.
Played a Monk. I played 2 weeks at the Vanguard, a week in Acro Lounge in Philly, and a week in Lenny's on the Turnpike.
Wow. What do you take away from that experience?
He didn't say much to me. The only thing he ever said to me is, "Can you leave the bow alone?" I played a bow solo at the Acro Lounge on a Saturday night, and people went nuts, and he didn't like the sound, he said.
Okay.
What sound of what the applause I got, or the sound of the bass. Probably with the pickup I had, the Barkis and Berry pickup with the bow probably sounded pretty nasty.
All right.
The bowed bass. Unless you're George Mraz, and most people sound pretty awful. He makes it sound beautiful.
So you made the well, at least did you start playing electric around that time?
Yeah, well, in the
Did you have
'70s,
that-
everybody I remember doing this date at the Different Fur with what's the drummer's name? Famous Billy Cobham, I think it was. On this, I did a record with Papo, Julian Priester, in this Different Fur studio, and he was going like, "Hey, forget the acoustic." And so, everybody wanted to see the electric bass. Nobody wanted the acoustic bass in the '70s.
Okay.
So I got into it. I bought a Hohner fretless bass in San Francisco to go to the Montreux Festival with the Fourth Way because we didn't have the money, even though it was $108 to fly on an Icelandic from New York to Iceland to Switzerland. We didn't have enough money to buy another ticket for the bass. So I said, well, I'll get a fretless bass, and that's what I'm still playing one of those.
Okay.
And I don't play the Hohner anymore. But I was recording on that, immediately, completely out of tune, of course.
Yeah.
But Jaco said he got the idea from those records.
Oh, is that right?
He said he heard that, and he played me some of the stuff that I played on the record, so I know.
Okay.
He when I met him, that's another story. I heard him play with Wayne Cochran and the CC Riders
All right, that's
in Florida.
74, 73.
75, 74.
Yeah.
We played the Bachelor's Free Joe Namath Club in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I remember that,
And I heard Jaco with that band on the jukebox, and I heard that sound that he had, which was unmistakable. And I went to the bartender and I said, you know, who that bass player is. And he said, oh man, don't talk to me about him. You know, he lives around the corner. His name is Jaco. So I went and got Columbia and I dropped a quarter and I played it for him and he turned pale. I mean, I said, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. And I was. He fired me hard, Jaco. You know. And so, I mean, I was instrumental in him getting hooked up with Columbia. They made that record with Donna Lee and all that stuff that kind of was.
And then the Ian Hunter record.
But I mean, they had already done that thing, the Bright Size Life with Matheny and Bobby Moses. So I mean, I'm not taking credit for his success. I mean, as Will Lee said, in 300 years, people will still be talking about what he did with the bass.